Welcome back, everybody. Do you want to learn a throwing technique that Florian Gadsby uses in his own practices? Well, if your answer is yes, you came to the right place. In this week's video, we're going to cover one of those techniques, and it hopefully will improve your overall throwing and allow you to throw more efficiently and faster as you develop this new skill. So stick around and find out what that is. So what is this mystery technique that Florian Gadsby uses? Well, apparently I use it too, and I didn't know about that until someone commented that Florian uses this technique and they were learning how to do it. So in this video, we're going to dive deeper into that, and that technique is where when you pull your walls, you pinch with one hand, your left hand, you apply pressure with your outside hand, your right hand, and then you pull up and you do a aggressive pull. Now, I've discussed this technique in the videos about cylinder throwing, but this week's video, I'm going to do a deep dive on it, and I'm going to go over 3 different variations from easy to medium to advanced so that you can attempt and then practice this technique and work your way from the steps so you can ideally open your well and pull all with one technique. And that is what we're going to cover. So this technique I picked up from a colleague of mine. I saw him doing it when we were throwing a bunch of bows for a fundraiser event, and he was throwing them with no eye contact to the clay. He was talking to somebody else, and he was just pulling, opening, and getting the shape all done within like 5 seconds, and I was blown away. And so I just kind of watched him do it a few times, and then I was like, wow, that is such a simple technique. So I tried it on my own. It took a little while to get used to it, but after I kept practicing and honing it in, I adapted it to my own practice. And so now I want to teach you guys this technique. And as I'm teaching my ceramic students, my high school students, after they get a little familiar with the normal pull, push out, push in, pull up, I cover this pinch and pull. And all the students that I've taught this to said that they really like this and they wish they learned this first. But of course, you want to teach them the more broken down version and then show them more efficient ways later on so they know the overall scope of throwing. And so now I feel like it's an appropriate time to teach you guys this because there's a lot of potters out there that want more intermediate level ceramic lessons and techniques, and so this is a really good one, and this one will definitely take your throwing to the next level if and when you're able to adapt it to your own practices. Whenever we do this technique, your left hand is naturally going to fall where it feels the most comfortable, and you're usually pinching and pulling at around like 4:30 if this was a clock, and it's going to pinch and pull like that. And when you do it, the whole length of your inside hand finger, so your left pointer finger, and the whole length of your thumb is squeezing up against the clay wall. And so when you pinch, the whole wall is being pinched between these two hands. So it looks something like this. And then your right hand is going to be pushing with the sponge underneath your right to apply that offset. So as you push here, you're going to push the clay in, and that's going to cause the clay to rise. And the clay has nowhere else to go but to get squeezed between these two fingers, and it's going to go taller and taller, and then both hands are going to rise up with it. So on the transparent jar, it's going to look something like this, where you pinch at the very bottom as low as you can and slowly bring both hands up, and you keep your hands at the rim for a few seconds. So you can kind of see it. I'm going to position my body here, pinch, and then both hands go up. And that is the first method, where you already open your well and all you're doing is compressing the bottom and then lifting your hands up to get your first initial pull. So on the cross cut, once again, looks something like this. Pinch, and then hand goes up. Keep your hands at the rim for a few seconds and release. So now we're going to go ahead and get the actual clay, and we're going to be practicing these with 2-pound balls of clay, and you can do it with whichever clay weight you're comfortable with, but you want it heavy enough where you can actually pull a good amount. So I would say around 2 is a good amount to practice on. And we're going to throw, remember, 3 different cylinders to practice the 3 different difficulties of this pinch and pull, or aka the claw. So let's get the clay, and let's start with difficulty number 1, the easiest way to do it. All right, right, we got our first piece, and we're going to go over the easiest way to do it. And all the beginning steps are still the same. You still roll it, tap it. You can integrate the slap centering if you want, or the push centering, and you still follow the same steps. And so got it stuck. Now I'm going to blend the clay, get rid of that edge, sealed my edge. Now I'm going to push it down, and then cone up and down. I don't need to cone up and down too much. So squeeze at the base and then come back down. And right there, more or less centered. All right, so for this first technique, we're still gonna dig our well like we normally do. So you can dig it however you want, whether that's with your thumbs sideways, your thumbs vertical, or you're bracing with one hand and pushing down with the other, or vice versa. But whichever way you dig, you still do it the same way. And if you folks want to see a detailed video on various ways to dig your well, let me know in the comments below. And these are going to be a set of bowls, 2-pound bowls, and so I want to get my depth, which is that ½ an inch at the bottom. Okay. Once you have that width set, we're going to open the well up. And so there's various ways to open. You have your thumbs go sideways, you can pull your clay towards yourself, or you can move it away towards midnight. And the way I teach my students, and I taught you guys in beginning videos, is you move your thumbs to midnight. And the reason why I like that technique is because your hands are anchored usually to the splash pan or your legs, and your hands move together as a unit. If they move apart, one hand tends to pull harder than the other, and you get something that's off-centered. And if you can bear down your weight on the rim, this will help center anything that is a little off-center too. But regardless on which way you prefer to open, you just got to open your well. Okay. Now, before we do the initial pinch and pull up, we want to compress the bottom and make sure it's nice and flat, and then set our inside corner, and then that's right here. So you can either use your left pointer finger and apply light downwards pressure to create that indent. You may create a little lifted edge like this. You can see in the overhead cam, so you can push that away. Or you can take your finger, your right finger, and then push and pull towards you. Doesn't really matter how you do it. You just gotta set your inside corner. Okay. Now, this clay is more or less set up to do the first initial pull with the pinch and pull technique. Because there's already an undercut here, I don't need to push in anymore. So once again, the way the mechanics work, we'll bring this cross cut. You're going to be pinching the clay where your left hand falls naturally. Usually it's around 430. You're going to pinch and squeeze the clay as low as possible where your fingers can touch the inside bottom, and your thumb will be in line with the height of your pointer finger. So you squeeze. The whole length of your left finger and your left thumb will be squeezing the clay wall at an even pressure. You're going to bring in your right sponge, your sponge in your right hand, and that's going to be going underneath your left thumb. So they move together as a unit. And this sponge will apply inwards pressure at the base where your thumb can't reach to really push that bottom clay inward and lift it upwards. So it looks something like this, where you squeeze the clay, compress, and then lift up. When you get to the rim, leave it there for a few seconds and release. And so this technique is all about feel. The first time you try it, you want to make sure you're just going through the motions so that you don't squeeze the clay too aggressively. When I teach this to my level 1 students, sometimes they squeeze the clay too hard and it rips. So I'm going to pretend like I'm just learning this technique for the first time. So the first time you want to do it, my left hand can't really squeeze the whole inside because of the way the wall is oriented. So I'm going to kind of squeeze like this with my palm kind of push inward. So it's slightly elevated. And so more this length is on the outside and then this side is on the inside. So I'm going to be pushing in and then kind of squeezing and then lifting up very lightly. And then as my hands rise, I'm going to get to the very top for a few seconds, let it stay there for a little bit, and then release. And so that initial pull, I got rid of that undercut, and now it's more or less a cylinder. It is a little wider, but it is getting set up for my next few steps. And once you kind of get the feel for it and the squeezing, you can start dialing up the pressure and going and pulling it up higher. So now I'm going to do one of my normal pulls. So I'm going to really squeeze it and really pull this up vertically. So this time the whole length of my inside hand, I can stand it up. My thumb I can stand up too. And actually I'm gonna kind of bring my hand down so I can kind of rest it on this rim here. And then first thing I'm gonna do is gonna push in at the bottom, let that clay rise, and then I'm gonna start squeezing. And as I'm squeezing, you can see my opening, my inside's starting to widen out, and that's fine. And now I'm gonna start lifting. So as I lift, I'm starting to release the pressure as I rise, but I'm still going up at the same speed. When I get to the very top, I leave it there for a few seconds, let the clay catch up, and then release. And so that pull doubled the height of the overall cylinder. And the cool thing about this technique is you can keep doing it even if your hands bottom out meaning it cannot reach the bottom. The only downside is you just can't squeeze the clay from the bottom. You only can squeeze where your fingers touch. And so if you want to do a little more from the bottom, we're gonna actually push this clay wall out. So I'm using my left pointer finger, I'm lifting, having it as a vertical wall. I'm pushing it out to create that vertical wall, that right angle. And then I'm gonna push in. So you can see that my thumb here is draped over the top, and it's not going to be reaching where my pointer finger is. So I'm going to be kind of squeezing with this. This is draped over the top, and I'm just going to be pushing in and lifting. So this is kind of a variation of that pull. So push out, the bump's forming, push in. My thumb is attached to this thumb, and then I'm pulling upwards, and then I'm releasing the pressure as I rise. And then when I can get my thumb into play on the clay wall for support. I can go all the way. Once I get up to the top, leave it there for a few seconds. And then if you want to include a compression, you can use your left thumb and then gently compress the lip at the top. And then my sponge hand is at the same height as my inside pointer finger. And as you do the pulls, if you notice it's going wider and not straight up, that means you're applying too much pressure with your left hand outwards, or when you're pulling up, your left hand is drifting towards your body. So just be aware of how your cylinder is forming, and if it's going inward or outward, make the adjustments, especially if you want a straight cylinder. Because this is going to be a bowl, I don't really mind that it's going to be flared out, but that's basically the first technique, the easiest, where you're not even opening the well. It's already preset open, the floor is flat, you squeeze and you pull up. And so I'm just going to do one more pull. So push out, push in and pull. And these are regular pulls now. When I get to the rim, do a compression. And so for that pull, my inside hand, I was kind of holding it like this. So against the clay wall, I can't get my whole hand here, but basically it was fingers like this, and then pinching and compressing at below it and lifting up. Pushing. This is how my hand shape was, pushing and lifting up. Okay, so that was my first cylinder. I'm gonna put this aside. Let's talk about the second one next. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this centered. If you want to see more ceramic videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. That way it helps grow the channel and you'll be able to see these videos as they're released every week. Push down, squeeze in at the base, cone up, and then back down. All right, so second way to do it, the medium difficulty. You still dig your well the same way, however you plan to dig, do it that way. And you just get your depth. In this case, my depth, I want 1/2 inch thick. And the reason why this second method is a little more difficult is because we're gonna open the well and do a pull at the same time. Well, one after the other. We're not really gonna take breaks. So we're still doing that same pinch motion and we're still squeezing in with our outside hand. But the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move our pointer fingers towards our thumbs to open the well, and then we're gonna do a pull. And we're gonna make it as one continuous motion. I adjusted my body, so this is now my 6 o'clock. And it's wide enough where I can fit 3 fingers in. Ideally you want 3, 2 is okay, but 1 is not enough. And my pinky is gonna be floating. And as soon as I kind of squeeze the clay and open it up, my pinky is gonna drop in. And my outside hand is gonna be ready with the sponge to apply inwards pressure. And my thumb is gonna start squeezing inward once this opens up. So we're gonna open first and then pull. So here we go. Open nice and slowly. Let the clay slowly rise. I'm going to start pushing it at the bottom. And then I'm going to lift up with my hands. Okay, so that was the first pull. The rim got a little wobbly, but it's okay, because that was an open end pull. And now I'm going to do the normal pinch and pull, because I have more freedom to just squeeze rather than squeeze and open. So once again, open the inside, compress at the bottom with the sponge, and now we're pulling. Okay. And then lighter pressure as we get all the way to the top, less pressure here. When I get to the rim, leave it there for a few seconds, let the clay catch up, and then compress. All right, it did create some wobbles and some twisting, and so that was most likely from the amount of pressure I added. So I'm just going to collar this in, and we'll do one more pull before I move on to the last technique, the most difficult one, but the one that can help you the most in overall throwing. Well, let's do one more pull first. Push out, push in, and then pull. So this is going to be a centering pull as well as a thinning pull. So I'm going to go really slow where the clay is a little more wobbly, especially at the rim. And when I get to the rim, I'm going to leave it there for a few seconds. Let the clay catch up to my movements. All right, there we go. Okay. Let's put this on the side and let's get the last piece. All right, so let's get this down and center. So we went over two techniques so far. The first one is just to pull. The second one integrates the open and the pull together. And the third one is open and pull, but this time our pointer finger is going to stay on the outside. So same steps that we always follow. Dig our well. Set your inside corner. And then we are ready to do the technique. So for this one, kind of to recap the second technique, that's where your pointer finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger are all on the inside, or your pointer finger and your middle finger, and then you open, squeeze, and then pull. This one is a little different in terms of finger placement, because now our pointer finger is going to be on the outside, and this is going to support the clay and then the rim. So this one I call the claw, because basically you're squeezing the clay between these 3 points. 1, 2, 3. So we're squeezing the clay and then integrating a pull. And this is the most difficult only because it's the most awkward to hold. The benefit of doing this is it really thins out your clay wall, and it makes sure that your rim stays stabilized as you pull up. Now this one I don't really do as much as the normal open and pull, but if you can master this technique, you can do it with your eyes closed because you have a lot more feel. But the setup's still the same. You dig your well, make it flat, set your inside corner. And so now my middle finger is going to be the one that's on the inside, pointer finger on the outside, and my palm is going to be actually pushing in a little bit. And you can actually pinch and pull with one hand with this, but for now we're going to use a sponge to help. And we're going to squeeze the clay, bring our middle finger towards our thumb hand, towards our left thumb, and then the ring fingers and the pointer finger is kind of just there to kind of support the wall. Squeeze, compress, and then pull. Okay, so let's add a little water and let's go for it. So opening first. Now my pointer finger is engaging the clay a little more. I'm going to squeeze at the base with the sponge. Really set that inside corner with my left middle finger, and now I start the pull. And right around there, I leave my hands there for a few seconds and I release. So you can see with that pull, the benefit is I was able to stabilize the rim from start to finish. And so as I pulled, it didn't get wobbly on me. But because it is the most awkward, it might feel weird when you do it, especially because you're activating new muscles in your forearm. And just by doing that, I don't do it that often, I can feel some fatigue in it. So if you do it, you definitely want to practice a bunch before you start doing it full time, because you will feel some strain. All right, so now let's go ahead. We're going to do that again. So I'm going to start with the compression. So I'm going to start with pushing the clay wall out from the inside so I can get my vertical wall reestablished. Okay. Slip my pointer finger out already. Really push in at the bottom. And then let's cone up. Or I mean pull up. All right, and then right around there, start releasing the pressure. You can throw in a compression with your pointer finger or your thumb. And then we have our cylinder. Okay, and then because this is a bowl, I want to get the inside a little thinner. So push out, push in, and then pull. And the little tidbits on bowls, you always want to keep your rim a little thicker than you normally would, because that is going to stretch out and become thinner as you open it. All right, so there we go. That was method number 3. So let's go ahead and get this removed, and we'll kind of recap and finish the video. And there you have it, the technique that Florian Gadsby uses, and now you guys can try it at home as well. So to recap, we did the 3 ways. Number 1 is just the pinch and pull. Number 2 is the open, pinch, and pull. And number 3 is the claw, or the open, pinch, and pull. The most awkward because it's very weird to do that motion. When you guys try it out, I recommend number 1, just the pinch and pull. Once you get used to that, you can do the open, pinch, and pull. And that's the one that I usually use the most, and Florian actually uses that one as well. I'm saying Florian like I know him, but Mr. Gadsby does that as well. And sometimes I do the claw, but it's really specific to what I'm throwing. But anyway, I hope those techniques will help you progress and throw more efficiently and quicker. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps to grow this channel, and you can see all of the new videos release as they come out. And if you want to see any other techniques that I haven't covered yet in previous videos, please comment below. I'm always looking for more ideas and exciting things that you guys want to watch, because of course I make the videos for you guys. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.